Alright, so we're working on the Ford Ranger again. We've got to sync the timing, so if you've seen some of my other videos, you know that you have to sync the timing from the standalone ECU to mechanically, just to tell it, like, you know, where it's at in timing. So on the MZR or the Duratec motors, there's actually not a timing mark, believe it or not. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our own, and it's pretty simple. We're just going to, as you can see, I've got a ratchet onto the crank pulley here. We're going to rotate to top dead center, and we're just going to make a mark. So we're going to, when we rotate it top dead center, we're just going to find one of these teeth, we'll mark it white, and then we'll put a line on the actual timing cover, and that's how we're going to sync the timing. Alright, so I've made my mark. I just used one of the crank teeth, and as you can see, the permanent marker here. So what you've got on the crank trigger wheel is actually just a little bit of paste. I didn't have any whiteout, but whiteout's definitely more suitable for the job. But this, when it cures for a little bit, it should be fine. So we're gonna let that sit for a little bit, and then while we're doing that, we're gonna go ahead and pull out the spark plugs. All right, so we got the plugs out. Number 2 was a little on the rough side, so it looks like the spark plug wire is going bad or wasn't fully seated. As you can see, plugs are pretty black, and this is common. You know, when we're doing cold starts and hot starts and stuff like that, we try to use cheap plugs, just, you know, because there's a good chance you're going to foul them out while doing that stuff. So obviously these plugs are bad. The truck actually still ran, just didn't run very good, obviously. One other thing that I do want to mention is that we also went, these are heat range 5. You can basically Google the part number and it'll tell you the heat range. And we're going to go from a heat range 5 to a heat range 7. Now, on low boosted applications, you know, stock heat range should be fine. Obviously take that with a large grain of salt. But the reason why you want to go to a different heat range, like a colder heat range, so these are 5s, we're going to 7s, so we went to 2 jumps. And the reason why you want to do that is because the heat produced from the initial spark sets the temperature. So obviously, if this spark is hot, you know, it can only get hotter as the combustion happens. So going to a colder heat range will bring the heat down, and then hopefully that's going to help us prevent a lot of potential detonation. Another thing too is that, as you guys know, we made the turbo kit for the Ranger, but the customer really only wants to run not E85, excuse me, he only wants to run 87. So we've got to do other things to try to keep detonation down as low as possible. Obviously, my recommendation to him was, you know, to put 93 in it, or even 89, and that would make a lot more power. But, you know, he's an older fella, and he was like, well, if you can just make it safe on 87, I'll try to run 89 when I can. So that's kind of where we're at. We're waiting for the plugs to get here. And then we will reinstall and then throw the timing light on. Alright, so I had to go get some fuel, so unfortunately this is not the first drive, but I've already done some light tuning on the Ranger. And I've also learned that the speedometer does not work, but I mean, this thing is moving, man. 5 pounds of boost. Not bad. 5 pounds of boost on a GT28. Obviously we want more boost out of it, but again, we're only on 87, so I'm so far so good. Obviously we're still on a base map. Timing's definitely not optimized by any means, so we're in second gear here. Nail it. So we're doing pretty good. Not perfect, but pretty good.